Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about real-time customer segmentation with Spatial AI. We'll start off with a few introductions. For those who don't know me, I am Glenda Bemis. I am the VP of Customer Support and Delivery here at Kalibrate.
And I'm Leiden. I'm the founder of CEO of Spatial.
All right, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Just so you all know, if you have any questions about anything we're talking about today, we are going to have a Q&A at the end. But as we're going through our conversation today, feel free to go to the question panel. You can hit the question button on the bottom right-hand side. That will open up the panel, put your question in, and we'll see that. You'll also see some other things like polls come through, so be on the lookout as that comes over. All right. Now, I just want to do a little introduction of who is Kalibrate for those who are on today that are not familiar with us. So for decades, we've lived and breathed retail and fuel. We have many experts on our team that are from within these industries, and we've also, we provide our solutions to organizations all across the globe. Some verticals these organizations fall within are restaurants, grocery, real estate investment trusts, private equity, and so much more. One of the ways that we empower our clients is, through our extensive data intelligence, which includes third-party data like Spatial AI. This serves to underpin our solution delivery, whether that be data, analytics, consulting, or software. And for those folks that were on the KLI 2.0 launch a few weeks ago, this slide here is actually probably familiar to you, but I did want to add this into today's conversation just as a reminder for the exciting new KLI 2.0. So it is a complete rebuild of the Kalibrate location intelligence solutions. KLI 2.0 provides a user experience like no other. So in a little while, I'll actually provide a demo of Spatial AI's PersonaLive data inside KLI 2.0. That said, I'm actually going to hand it on over to Leiden.
Cool. All right, before we get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about the typical issues that people feel and experience as it relates to segmentation. And here in a second, we're going to pull a poll up. And I want to hear from you guys which one of these resonates most with you. So one issue that you potentially could experience is segmentation, or maybe that you felt is static. So maybe your segmentation lives in a PDF, or maybe your segmentation lives in a Word document somewhere on your computer. But we know people change, and the way that they behave changes over time. And is that captured by your segmentation? And this has been especially important since COVID really changed behavior significantly. So that's one. Two, cumbersome. So you see the value in segmentation, but when you think about all your customer data or all your mobile data, it feels really cumbersome to go through and segment that customer data, segment the mobile data, or maybe even feel like too much work to actually identify, okay, now that I have my customer segments, which one of these are more valuable to me? Sometimes it feels like it's more work than it's actually worth it. And the last one is not actionable. So maybe you have all of your customer data segmented, but when you think about it, okay, we have these segments, these are interesting, but can you go out there and actually start directly targeting them on Facebook or direct mail, or create an email campaign that actually utilizes that information and makes a rubber hit the road? So the three things: static, cumbersome, not actionable. If we could pull that poll up, I would be curious for you guys, what have you experienced the most? Which of these three resonates with you the most? Static, cumbersome, or not actionable? Okay. Seeing some votes roll in. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, and Glenda, are these revealed right now, or do we need to press a button to show those?
Let's see here. I think that we do need to post them. Right now, I believe it's only us that can see them.
Okay, well, it looks like we got majority of people have voted. How about I just read these out? Okay, so looks like this is really cool. 42% of you said cumbersome is the number one issue. The second issue is not actionable. And the last one is static. Okay, that's good. That's really good. So yeah, 46% cumbersome, 31% not actionable, and 23% static. Well, I definitely experienced all three of those. And Glenda, we can just go to the next slide here.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, my name is Leiden Faust. I've been doing market research since 2012. And I am based in Cincinnati. And so I work for a company called Seek Research. And we did a lot of research for companies like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble. While I was there, we built the global segmentation for Band-Aid, Listerine, Gillette, Visine, and Rogaine. And the issues that we felt with segmentation were, one, when you would do these interviews and surveys to create your segmentation, one of the things that I did is I actually would do qualitative interviews with the people that were part of the segmentation. And what we found is that the way that someone responds in a survey is very different than the way that people actually behave. And that's where the real value is, understanding the behavior. The second issue is these things would take a long time. They were very cumbersome to create. And when we did create them, everybody would be really excited about the segmentation. But I think everybody kind of felt inside like, okay, how are we actually going to take action on these? We've got a segment. How do we actually go target them? And those are the three things that we wanted to tackle when we created the PersonaLive segmentation. We released that in 2021, and now over 500 organizations are using PersonaLive. So before we get into PersonaLive, it's always really helpful just to take a step back and really consider the segmentation landscape and what options we have as analysts or retailers or property owners when we're considering how do we segment our customer or our mobile data. One approach you could take is demographic. And this is actually where you always want to start. So these are things like age and income. This is the study of people based on their demographics. And this is really nice because it's very easy to understand. The place where we could fall short is you could have two people that are demographically the exact same, but they actually behave very differently. And that's not going to be captured in a purely demographic segmentation. In the 1970s, we attempted to really bridge that by bringing in attitudinal information in with psychographic data. So psychographic data is the study of people based on where they live. And what typically will happen is you will take a neighborhood clustering of people of similar demographics and cluster in anywhere from 50 to 72 different segments. And then we'll apply survey data to those segments to see what might those people do based on how similar people have answered a survey. This is where we saw a huge opportunity for PersonaLive. PersonaLive is the segmentation of people based on what do they actually do. So what do I mean by what they do? We can go to the next slide. So PersonaLive segments every household in the United States based off three factors. One, social media. What do they follow? What do they hashtag? Two, mobile phone information. So where do those mobile devices go? And then three, their individual demographic data at that household level and the individuals within the household. So age, income, marital status, etc. And then we round that out with website visitation information from desktop devices. All three of those data sources go into the PersonaLive segmentation to make those 80 behavioral segments. They're quantitatively more predictive than just using demographics alone, but also they're pretty qualitatively interesting because you can see these things happen in real time. And we can get into a demo of that. Okay, well, let's pull up a demo and get into it. Okay, I'm going to give you an overview of the PersonaLive segmentation, and Glenda will walk you through how this integrates into KLI 2.0 for analysis. The first thing that you're going to notice about the segmentation is that there are 80 behavioral segments, and they nest up within these 17 higher level groups. And I'm going to jump into one of these groups. If you're familiar with segmentation, you'll notice some things you've come to expect, like a segment name, household age, and income. But then it starts getting very different. So you can see the live topics that have been going viral with this particular segment in the past 2 weeks. So you can see these people have been talking about hashtag navigate change and talking about the Super Bowl. You can see their live in-store visitation, and then using a past 12 months of their mobile visitation, we can see their index across any brand. So we can see these people over-index on visiting Chop Creative Salad and Kava, and you can also view that by count. We can see their overall web visitation, channel preferences, and a demographic snapshot. And that's just an overview for the segmentation. You can also view any of this information throughout time. The geographies where these people make up the majority of the population. In-store visitation shows you by category the types of retail that they're going to. And this can be really helpful if you're a brand and you are looking for synergistic concepts, or if you're a property owner and you're trying to understand what types of retail to put in a location based on the resident population. And unique to the PersonaLive segmentation, you can also cut this by geography. So we see apparel nationally, they visit Athleta, but let's see what they're visiting in the West. So we can see they over-index on visiting Evereve in the West Coast. Brand influence shows you the types of brands they are following based on Twitter and Instagram. Channels is the same thing, but for news. Social topics are the hashtags they use. Influencers, the people they follow. Web visitation are the websites that they are visiting. Demographics are the demographic traits. And personalize is the basic information that you need to personalize copy or imagery to resonate with this segment. So you can see the imagery that resonates with them, key traits, their interests, the brands they follow, and campaigns that have performed well with them in the past. So this can be powerful, but the real value of the PersonaLive segmentation is how easy it is to go from knowing zero about your customer segmentation to having a fully ranked customer set that you can then go target quickly on social media or anywhere you're activating media. And that is with our append, analyze, activate process. So in append, you are matching either foot traffic and mobile data to the segmentation, or you're attaching to segmentation to your customer list. So I'm going to do customer lists for this example. So you can match on postal address, first name, last name, or email. And then I am going to take a donation data set and drop it in here. And then you'll see that from my CSV, it matched all the columns. And then we also have the amount people donated. And if you're a restaurant or a retailer, this would be lifetime value, for example. And then this will average that out by segment. So I've already specified the market base here and uploaded this. So we're going to go analyze that in the second part, append, analyze. So now we can rank our top segments that were in that customer list. And to do that, we just need to go to customers. And then we can see our top ranked customers for that customer list by percentage. So number one is educator urbanites, made up 170 different people in that customer list that it was matched to, which makes up 16% of that contact list. So we can view it by percentage, but we can also view that by how much they donated. So we can see here, young professionals donate $189 on average, versus educator urbanites donate $143 on average. So that might give us an indicator on the value of each one of these segments. That can be useful when you're considering entering new trade areas and when you want to understand the potential value of the population there, because not every segment is going to spend in the same way with your brand. If you upload that using first last name or an email, you'll be matching at the individual level, which will give you demographic traits like age, income, marriage, gender, etc. So that can be valuable for understanding customers and strategy. But when you're ready to activate media, all you have to do is hit activate families. It will pre-select the top 3. I want to include young professionals because we found that they're very valuable. And then we can go to the third step, activate, where we're pushing this into an audience. So we can add that to our meta account by adding our meta account ID. And if we push that there, it will just show up as an audiences in the platform. We can do the same thing with Google, or if we want to do a formatted list, we can upload it to any of these different social platforms, or we can even do a direct mail campaign. But if we just want to push this through Meta, we can see these people represent 6.4 or 64 million total new targetable households that are the exact households that we know are highly valuable for this particular nonprofit. And that's the full process. We just came from knowing nothing about our customers to uploading a customer list, analyzing the top customers in our list, and then activating media immediately against that customer list. And with that, I am going to send the ball back over to Glinda, who will walk you through how this shows up in the KLI 2.0 platform.
Okay, so I'm now sharing my screen and I'm already logged into KLI 2.0. We're going to use the New York City and surrounding area just to run through some examples of what we have for thematics and reporting. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're actually going to look at some thematics. I'm going to go up to, in my layer control, I'm going to go up to my thematic layers, go to my Spatial.ai folder, and go to my PersonaLive layers that I have here. You notice I do have some other Spatial.ai layers, but just for this, we're going to look at a few PersonaLive thematics. So I have my dominant families thematic, which will call out all of the different areas with the different family groupings. And then I also have a specific segment that I've configured a thematic on. So I have my percent of households for the rising professionals. I'm going to bring those into my layer control. You will notice that even though I did open two, only one range-based thematic can show on the map at a time. So you'll see here, I've got my percentage of households for rising professionals. If I toggle up here for my dominant families, this will show on the map as well. So I'm going to bounce back to the rising professionals for a second here, just so I can also show you, like all of the other thematics within KLI, if you expand the layer in the side here, you can see the different ranges and the colors that, what the colors represent for the different ranges. Now, what I can also do is pull some reports for this data. So if I go up to my data layers, I'm actually going to bring in my pipeline layer that I have. So this is all of my potential sites that I'm working in this area. I could also search for an address or just drop a point on the map, just using my map tools here. But in this case, I'm going to use one of these locations. So for example, if I click on this potential site here, this could be, a location that I'm working and I want to understand the PersonaLive profile. I can go ahead and put some trade areas on the map. So I'll just do, we'll do a 1 mile ring, and I'm going to use a 5-minute drive time. I could add some more, of course, just by using the buttons here and zooming to my results. All these options for style, rearranging the order of the trade areas, all of these tools, are available here. But moving on, I am going to just save this and get my trade areas on the map. All right, and I'll just zoom in here so we can take a look at this location a bit more. And from here, I'll go over to my reports. So in my report panel, I will go to my demographic summary. We're going to get a summary report here, and it is the PersonaLive segmentation. Now, this report is a report that's going to give us all of the families and segments within PersonaLive and give us the data for these trade areas. So I've selected my trade area here, and we'll start that. And now you can see here we have our report. Again, this is a very detailed report. So you can see, if I zoom in here just a bit, let me just bring this in. You can see we have our total household count for the two trade areas, that 1 mile ring and the 5-minute drive time. And then you can see the makeup for all of the high-level groupings and then each of the segments. Now, again, this is showing you all of the families and segments what you could do in KLI Management Studio, the administrative platform for KLI, you can make your own reports and you can make your own thematics that really cater to your business. And actually, for example, I'm going to go into Management Studio and we're going to create a thematic that's something that fits more of my needs. So with that, I will actually jump over to my Management Studio tab, and I've logged into here already. So you're going to see when you log in for the first time into Management Studio, you'd actually see the organization page. But I've already jumped into my Manage Custom Vintages. So in the Manage Custom Vintages, I have a I have a category, a custom vintage that is going to hold all of my PersonaLive demographic variables. If I go into this vintage and I look at the manage variables, you'll actually see I already have a variable that's been created. And what I did here is actually something that can be done, that you all can do if you have access to the PersonaLive platform. So using their append feature, you can push through a series of customers, and then it will return back the profile for the PersonaLive segments. So I'm going to use an example, and we're going to pretend that I went through the append feature in the PersonaLive platform, and I was given back a few of these segments, and we're going to consider that the store profile. Now, I did not do this with a file. What I'm actually going to do is just go through, putting together a few variables, because I also want to show you all how you can use the demographic variable manager for your custom vintages. So I'm going to create a formula variable, and we're going to call this my marketing store profile. And that's going to be my variable name and my description here. And the description is where anytime you see this variable in reports or thematics, this is going to be the description to represent this variable. This data is residential based. It is not workplace. And I am actually going to use the percent versions of all of these variables. So I know that my format, when I see this variable, again, in reports and themes, it's going to be percentage. Then from here, I can go in and define, and I can utilize the PersonaLive variables to create a formula. So I'm going to select my provider here, and we'll go to Spatial.ai, and my database is my PersonaLive database, and we're using the 2023 vintage in this case. And for the category, I am going to use the segments. All right, so I have 3% segments that I'm just going to use. In this case, I'm going to grab the Tech Titans, the Urban Fashion, and the Game Time Glory. And then I can build out my formula by using the tools down here. And I can use a combination of values and fields. I can use different ways of calculating the variables, the formula. But in this case, I'm going to use fields across the board. I'm going to add the different fields together, and I'm going to pick the 3 fields here. And then I can save. All right, and then I'll save one more time. And now I've created my variable. Again, these variables can be used in reports and themes. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to create a store profile thematic. So from here, I'm going to go to Manage Range. We're going to create a range-based thematic. And I already have these values ready to just paste right in. So I'm going to do that. So that's the name. That's what you're going to see in your menu. The legend title is what you would see in the layer control. The subtitle, this can be flexible. I like to use the geography level that I am seeing the thematic on. So in this case, we're going to use block group. The map information, if this is checked yes, you can actually click on different geographies and get the results for that geography that is driving that thematic. The border control here, this is just a preference. I'm going to actually make this a little bit lighter than what it usually is. Let's see, the information is going to be percentage. My folder here, I'm going to find my Spatial.ai folder. And so yeah, I'm going to select a few options here. And pick block group. And this should be ready to go. So I'm using my custom PersonaLive variables. I picked my store profile variable that I just created, and it's going to be on the block group level. All right, I'm going to hit next here. Now in this step, I can create the number of ranges I'd like to use. In this case, I'll use 5. And you can see here, I can actually use some preset classes. I can even use different ways to calculate the different ranges for me if I'd like to do that. I'm actually going to use custom ranges, again, just based on preference. But if you made any of these settings, if you selected any of these settings, when you hit load, it would actually do the calculation for you. Let's see here. I am going to use the blue-purple shade there, and then I'm going to load this in. All right. And now I am just going to set this up. So I'm going to set up my different ranges. Again, this is preference. This last one that we're setting up, it is going to be the maximum. Since we're using percent, we're never going to be going over 100%. So that's why I just capped it off there. All right. And I'm going to put my legend text in here as well. Setting this up, and this is again based on preference. I like to use the word to. Some people like to use a dash, so that's why it's available for anyone to be able to type this in as they want, just so again, it's based on what you'd like to enter. All right, I'm going to hit next, and this just is a quick view to make sure that everything is set up as I'd like. I'm going to hit save. All right, now that I have that created, I am going to jump over to my role. I need to do this in order to give myself and anybody else in the system that I'd like to have access to this thematic, I'm going to give them access. So I'm going to go to my thematics here. I'm going to go to PersonaLive store profile, save that, jump back over to online. We're going to go into my layers, and I'll go to my thematic layer menu here. Now, one thing I do need to do, because this list has already been loaded, I just need to refresh, reload, and you'll now see that PersonaLive store profile here. So I can click that on the map, add that into my list, check that, and now you can see this on the map here. If I expand my layer control, you can see those ranges that I created. And that's just a little bit of how you can use the PersonaLive data in KLI. All right, and I know we're coming up on time here, but there's just a few more things that we want to discuss. Leiden, do you want to just talk through a couple case studies real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's always helpful to see actually how this plays out. So here's an example of Sequest. We got 14 locations. They imagine their top customer being moms with kids, and primarily that. When they uploaded their customer list, they quickly identified a third of their ticket sales were actually from single young professionals. So they created a date night package and became the #1 bestseller overnight. And then another one, so this is for a property owner, Brixmore. They had a open space for an anchor tenant in a retail location. And the demographics would have indicated to a potential boutique organic retailer that they were considering that this was not a perfect place, didn't check all the boxes. But when they showed this retailer that these people way over index on following Whole Foods, following Sprouts, and then over index on visiting organic retailers, that helped that anchor tenant make the decision to actually by that location. And so they were able to start really building out that center. And they're able to do that by looking beyond demographics into the behavior of those people.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So we are at the question point here. It looks like I think there's two questions here that Leiden, I'm hoping you could just answer real quick while we're on. So the first one, do you have a mapping walkover between PersonaLive and Mosaic or other segmentation data sets?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have a mapping between these segments and the relationship between those and the Mosaic segments.
Cool. Okay. Good to know. And then the other question that I have here is where does the social media data come from?
It's a good question. It's coming from Twitter and Instagram. There's other social media data sources, but those are the ones that are the most public and they're the most geotagged. And we're using the following data. And if you can't find this on Google, we can't get it. So it has to be public data.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. There are some other questions here that I think we'll take offline just to respect everyone's time, but we'll reach out to you all directly. So for the last thing here, thank you for joining us, Leiden. Thanks for the time today. Really appreciate it. If anyone's interested for getting access, understanding more about PersonaLive, if it's for KLI and how it can be integrated into KLI, reach out to your account manager or email Stephen Polanski at this email here. And then if you have more information about Spatial AI, or if you'd like more information about Spatial AI, reach out to Leiden, and his email is posted here as well. So thank you again for their time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.